Right. So now moving on to what are the types of paywall, what should be your paywall strategy. Uh, and I'm just, quickly skimming through this because I'm sure a lot of you would already know about them. So hard paywall is where your site is restricting you to, the site is restricting you to access any content. Premium paywall is where some of your content is available for free while some of your content is behind a hard paywall. A metered paywall is where you have a counter. You are giving 5 or let's say 10 articles for free for every month, for example, and then you are, after user reaches to this level, you restrict the access from there. And we have seen that there could be a leakage in metered paywall because a lot of people use Chrome in incognito mode, and then the model can easily be bypassed. uh, and then the fourth model is a hybrid paywall where you are using, let's say, all these models that we have discussed above together, where you have a metered paywall, a freemium paywall, and we tried this at Bloomberg Quint. And the last one is the dynamic paywall, which is based on your past behavior. When user comes to a website, basis that a paywall is shown, or basis the likelihood of you to convert, you restrict the content. So it's a kind of negotiation to test the dire need of your consumer. So if it is used very well, it could be a perfect balance to keep your users engaged and negotiate hard to make them subscribe, and both at the same time. So this type of paywall will induce the curiosity in the minds of readers. So I have a question for the audience here, that how many of you think you are curious? You can raise your hands. So curiosity, in my belief, is one of the potent weapons in your arsenal when you want to solve a problem that did not exist before. And I'm discussing this with when we are discussing paywall, because paywall is a very, very new concept for all of us, and it is a problem that was not no, that did not exist a couple of years back. And you can solve this kind of problems if you have a true beginner's mindset. Right. And so there is a popular example used in design thinking class, which I would like to share here. So there was a fully loaded truck, that was trying to pass under bridge, and that got, this was a fully loaded truck, so that this truck got stuck in between, in the underpass, and people tried to move the truck, but it didn't. And then it led to a traffic jam, and it became an kind of urgency to remove it as soon as possible. So people came, experts came. Some of them suggested that let's try and let's try to break the bridge from the top, from the bottom. Some of them suggested that let's melt the top part of the truck, and see that if you can push the truck outside of this. And then a small child came, and this child asked people around that, what is going on. And then an adult who was watching this said that, a team of expert is going to come, and they are going to help us to get rid of this truck. And then this child came up with a very interesting idea that, we all could thought of, but because we wanted to solve this problem, but we could not come up with this idea. So he said that, why don't you deflate the tires and try to push the truck outside outside the under bridge. And people were surprised from this answer from from a kid. And then they used it. So why I'm highlighting this point is that, that if you have seeing a new problem that have never existed or witnessed before, I think curiosity can help you to solve this kind of problem, right? And when you are curious, you accept that you don't know anything, and you are open for experimentation, and learn from those experiments. And would like to discuss an experiment that we have done with one of the publishers, where there were close to 3 million website visitors, and there were there were 10% of the people who were who were visiting more than seven stories every month. There were 20% of the visitors who were visiting more than 5 stories every month, and there were 30% of the users who were visiting more than 3 stories every month. So we thought that why don't we split this base into three and test out that what will be the best meter paywall strategy for us. So what we did, we divided it into three parts. We 1 million each, and we put up paywall after for the first set. We put up paywall after 7 stories. So only one, when you reach your seventh article, you will find a paywall. When you reach your fifth article, you will find a paywall for the second split, and similarly for the third split, you will find a paywall when you have crossed the three articles benchmark. And there we saw that almost 100,000 people saw the saw the paywall, while in the second split 200,000 people saw the paywall, and in the third split 300,000 people saw the paywall. And obviously here if you see that the likelihood of conversion for the people who are consuming more content would be higher. So there were and these are the hypothetical numbers that I've added here just to keep the numbers restricted, and you will see that 1.5% people converting from 100,000 base, while 0.5% converting from the second base, and 0.2% people converting from the third base. And here was the interesting perspective that which should be the obvious choice. A lot of people would say that paywall after 7 would be the obvious choice, but now you will also see that there would be a trade-off. So while you are getting a decent size of users converting converting to become your subscriber, but you are also losing on your ad revenues, and that's where the struggle of publishers start. Where you are where you don't know that whether to put 3, 5, or 7 articles restriction, and the idea is, I think you should be doing an experiment and find out your optimal way to optimal point where you can see that what is the optimal point where you are getting the maximum revenues. And you will also see that, let's say if let's assume that you agree that okay, it should be a 7 articles paywall. So you will see that there is a behavioral shift of the users who will restrict themselves and save the article quota for the future. So I will intentionally will not visit the website because I want to keep that limit with myself, because I know that I am going to see a paywall. So I'll restrict myself to visit the site again and again, or I'll completely switch to the competition. So you will see that your website traffic is reducing from the next month onwards, and you are actually reducing the loyal your loyal but yet not paying users for your future. So there has to be a balance between ad revenue, your subscription revenue, and the number of loyal users that you keep intact, that will lead to your ad revenues and subscription revenues. So what we did here, so we interestingly tweaked this model, and we broken the 5 paywall into two stages. So first stage was where you were seeing a paywall after 3 articles, and there we were giving giving another reason that okay, now subscribe to you just have to sign up, and once you sign up you will get 2 more articles for free. And we have seen a lot of people participating in this, and we could it was not a black and white, it was a gray in between, where we could do a negotiation and ask these people that stay with us, we are giving you more articles to read, and then we try to solve this problem of behavioral shift that was restricting the users with the help of emails. So now on the emails we were sending them more personalized content that could help them come to our website again and again, even if they are seeing the paywall, and we give them on a regular basis, and then these users converted on a larger, we saw that if you compare it with the other audiences who were not seeing this paywall, the conversion rate were almost, I think, twice as compared to people who are not seeing the paywall. So I think, Vivek, we should. It's almost 4, so we should wrap it up, and maybe we should open ourselves for the questions. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, I have okay, right. Manish Jain, he asked about what do you think about micropayments, right? Especially when it comes to solving the conversion rate problem for the for publishers, right? What's your opinion on this one?
So micropay is another, another tool like 3+2. I just said, where you can do 3+2. You can break the paywall into 2 stages. Micropayment is another interesting way that we tried at BQ. So where we started with 18 rupees articles, and then increased the prices to 150 and did a lot of experiments. And we saw, interestingly, we saw that people were paying at 150. More people were paying at 150 then people were paying at 18.
Uh-huh.
And I think they were perceiving a higher price of of the content, as a surrogate that yes, this content would have more value. And we have always, a lot of times we tested and we saw that more people were converting at 150. So I think micropayment can be a good strategy, but it would be a lot of effort to, further ask them to pay for higher ticket size. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what we have seen, that you can obviously try and create a pool of large audience who would be telling you that which is the content where they would be okay to pay a decent ticket size. And there you can define your content strategy from this, because people are paying for it. But from converting this set of audience to a higher ticket size annual subscription would be a challenge. And I think over the time publishers may or may not be able to solve it. But yes, in India, it's definitely be a stopgap solution where you are trying to induce a habit of paying for the content over the time. So if you are in a long term business, if you want to build a business for a long term, maybe you should be trying this method.
But how about the flip side, where you price the article extremely low, let's say rupees 1 or rupees 2, and you sort of try to use it as a step in the funnel, that here are people who have actually paid us something, and we can pitch them a bigger ticket size product tomorrow or day after.
Mhm.
Does that work as well?
So maybe you can restrict it for the first, let's say, first 2 or 3 articles.
Mhm.
And after that, you have to, let's say, if you want to access further articles, you have to pay for a larger ticket size. See, Vivek, this is a mental shift that you are trying to challenge, where I as a consumer don't believe that I should be paying for content. I have never seen people paying for news. For news in my life. There was a traditional business where people were paying for newspaper, but for online, it's a very strong mindset that industry has created in last 20 years, that who pays for online news.
Mm.
So you're struggling with this. So even if I am paying for 1, 2, 3 articles, it would be a challenge to let me pay a 3,000 rupees for the annual. What you can do is maybe every month you can open, let's say, 1 or 2 articles and ask them to pay 1 rupee, 2 rupee, and gradually increase the ticket size and make it to 150 or 200, where they are continuously engaging with your brand. They are finding the value, and there should be a point. So let's say in BQ we found that when we were doing at 150, there were people whom we converted after we just you bought a 150 rupees subscription, and then we asked, and you have bought 2 or 3 articles already, so we gave them a discount of 450 rupees, that we are just adjusting the amount that you have paid, and why don't you just pay the remaining amount and be our annual subscriber and access